We compare our current body to the body we had at our 20s or our 30s or our 40s, as if that's the damn benchmark we're meant to keep on meeting forever. Well, hello, my friend, and thank you for joining me here today. I'm Jo Clark, and I'm the host of the Redefining Midlife podcast, and I'm also a coach and a mentor for women who are in the middle of life. Now, what I'm talking about in today's episode is something that I am pretty sure that you're going to be able to relate to, and it's definitely worthy of a conversation. Today's topic came directly from a moment where I had to call myself out. It was nothing dramatic, nothing big had actually happened. It was just one of those little quiet moments, those honest moments, when you suddenly notice something about yourself and you think, now, hang on, when on earth did that start? Now, I recently shared a post on Instagram and I talked about the way I'd been thinking and speaking to myself about my body. And judging by the response, it resonated with a lot of women. It seemed like it was their reality too. And I want to take that conversation deeper beyond just a few slides on Instagram, because it's something I've really not explored on the podcast before. And I do think it matters. Because if you're a midlife woman and you've ever caught yourself being critical and far harsher on your body than you would ever be on anybody else's body, then this episode is for you. And don't worry, this isn't going to be an episode where I'm saying anything about you having to love your body every single moment of the day. And it's not about pretending that aging is easy or breezy or something that we have to celebrate all the time. It's more about noticing the voice in your head and asking whether it deserves quite so much airtime. Awareness of your thoughts is key to growth and key to understanding yourself better. And this is a powerful example of me practicing what I preach and also what I teach. Recently, somewhere along the way, I noticed that the voice in my head had become, unkind, critical, sharp, judgmental. And I was catching myself pointing out the new softness from a couple of extra kilos that my body is wearing now. Extra rolls and dimples that weren't there before, clothes that I put on that don't fit the way they used to. A whole new self-consciousness was around my body. The wrinkles when I smile, the aches and pains that feel like my body is betraying me, and hello, dodgy knees and shoulder. And what struck me wasn't that I noticed these things, because that's normal. Bodies change. What struck me was how I was talking to myself about them. And I think we can all agree that we women have been conditioned from a very young age to judge our bodies and to compare our bodies. That is not new, sadly. But this whole sudden level of unhappiness and judgment, well, for me, that was new. I don't quite remember deciding to speak this way. It just crept in quietly. And one day I realized I was saying things to myself that I would never, ever say to another woman, or the things that out loud that was going in my head to anybody else. And I know I'm not alone in this. I know that because of the conversations I have with friends, other women, and the women on Instagram who commented or liked the post, or who shared it with others, or who sent me direct messages. And they all showed me that I'm far from alone. Some of those messages that was sent to me made me get very teary because we can be so bloody hard on ourselves. Part of what fuels that harsh inner voice is comparison. And like I said before, our society conditions us to do that. You only have to look at the multi-billion-dollar youth-obsessed beauty industry and fashion industry. It has been created and designed to highlight and then improve our so-called flaws. It's made us look for faults and flaws, and some of which aren't even there. And then we're almost forced to spend our hard-earned money fixing on these so-called flaws. And as women from the 70s, 80s and 90s, we all lived through the diet culture and the countless fashion trends. And now, in this stage of life, it's all about selling us anti-aging. We're expected to defy nature, to not have wrinkles or crepey skin or a clothing size that never changes. We're told to buy certain products, get different treatments, and above all, we've got to look young at all costs. And we feel the pressure on the daily through advertising, social media, whenever we walk into a clothing store. And that comes at a huge price. And I don't mean just dollars. It's a price we pay in ourselves. Our self-esteem plummets. Self-love turns to self-loathing. And I know that as we age, it's only natural we're going to compare our bodies to our younger selves. That's what we know. That's what we're familiar with. That's our personal history. So we compare our current body to the body we had at our 20s or our 30s or our 40s, as if that's the damn benchmark we're meant to keep on meeting forever. But that body lived in a completely different season, different life, different responsibilities, different stress levels, different levels of hormones. I'm holding personally my 58-year-old body up to a version of me who hasn't even lived this life yet. And that's not a fair comparison. But it doesn't stop there. We also compare ourselves to other women, women our age, women who might be older, women who are younger, women we see online, friends who seem to have, inverted commas, aged better, influencers, celebrities, and then quietly sometimes and shamefully we say to ourselves, oh, she aged well, why can't I look like that? Or why does it look easier for her? Now, after I shared my post, one woman commented about a moment that she had during Pilates. And she said that she was in a position that showed a lot of her saggy skin on her stomach. And her mind immediately went to movie stars of her age who don't seem to have that. And then she stopped herself. She reminded herself that those women also had editing, had filters, had personal chefs, teams, and resources that most of us can't even dream of. And many have had surgical enhancements. And then she said something that really stayed with me. She said that her skin had been through 3 babies and 9 surgeries, and it's allowed to be soft and wrinkly. Now that's perspective and wisdom. And that's a woman choosing to respect over comparison in real time. In our culture, we're comparing our real lived bodies to very carefully curated images, to women who are literally paid to look a certain way, women who spend an incredible amount of time to look a particular way. And then we're left wondering why we're falling short. Midlife is already a season of identity shifts. Our bodies are changing whether we like it or not. And comparison finds fertile ground here. But midlife isn't a competition, and there's no damn prize for aging the best. And at some point in my own personal reflection, I reminded myself of something very simple. I'm 58. I'm not 28, 38, or 48. My body has been those ages already. It's done that. Now it's here. This body I have today reflects a life that's been lived. Stress, joy, grief, recovery. I need to remind myself my body isn't failing, it's just changing. And that's just what bodies do. I'm taking better care of my health now than ever before because my body deserves it. I'm the strongest and healthiest I've ever been in decades. And that's because I'm prioritising daily movement, nutritious food, good sleep and rest, less stress. And, because I'm prioritising these things, I do feel great. And even though I mightn't look like Sporty Spice, and even though I am carrying a few extra kilos than I did 10 years ago, even though I'm doing even more, I'm passing all of my routine medical tests with flying colours. Just go figure. And the added bonus is that the time and the care I'm putting in now also means my future body is going to be healthier and stronger as I age. That's a priority. The acceptance of how my body looks and feels at the age of 58 isn't about giving up. It's about removing shame from that equation. There's so much more to me than how I look, and there is so much more to you too. One of the comments on my post was really simple, but it stopped me in my tracks. This woman said, so much wasted time on negative thoughts. We need to be kinder to ourselves. Wasted time. That is a real cost, isn't it? Another woman shared that she found old photos of herself recently, photos of a younger version she had been incredibly hard on at the time. And she was especially critical at that stage about her legs. And looking back now at those photos, she says she was shocked because she looked bloody amazing. And then she said something that so many of us know to be true. One day, we'll probably look back on photos of now and think the same thing. And that really hit me. It also reminded me of the late, great Catherine O'Hara in one of the many iconic scenes from the show Schitt's Creek. It was when her character Moira gave some sage advice to her co-star, a younger woman, and she said to her, "One day, you will look at those photos with much kinder eyes and say, 'Dear God, I was a beautiful thing.'" So what if this is that moment? What if this is a version, the time that future 80-year-old us wishes we'd been kinder to? I don't want to look back on this season of my life and realise I spent it at war with myself. There is still so much I want to do and see, and I don't want that negative self-talk or self-loathing to steal this chapter from me. Time isn't infinite, and I want to make the most of what time I've got left. But of course, this isn't about flipping a switch and suddenly loving your body every single day. It's about awareness, noticing that voice in your head, the negative language, and noticing when comparison creeps in. And asking yourself, would I speak to someone I love this way? And if the answer is no, maybe that's your cue to soften. Another woman commented on the post and she said, "We are so incredibly tough on ourselves and waste so much time with negative thoughts. We need to say, 'You look fabulous,' to ourselves." Just imagine if that became our habit then. Not forced positivity, just a little bit of kindness. And someday that kindness might look like appreciation. Other days it might look like neutrality. That can be enough. I don't want to spend this next chapter loathing myself as I age. I want to live and squeeze the life out of my time. I want to go walking every day and stay strong by lifting weights. And I also want to rest and do nothing without feeling guilty whenever I want to. I do want to dance when my favourite music comes on and practice yoga because I enjoy it and it makes my body feel good, rather than missing out because I'm worried about how I might look or what someone might think or say. I want to travel and see new parts of the world without thinking for a moment about my appearance. I want to enjoy new tastes, eat my favourite food, have the piece of cake or chocolate, rather than bloody obsessing about kilojoules, fat or protein at every single meal and mouthful. I want to spend more time being with my favourite people and have new experiences meeting new people as well, and not be in that least bit self-conscious about how I look. I want to laugh, I want to have fun, I want to experience joy every single day. But most of all, I want to feel present in my body and not at war with it. Maybe today isn't about loving how you look. Maybe it's just about not hating yourself for being human, for being alive, for having the privilege of experiencing life. How amazing would it be for all of us to be the role models for younger women, for our daughters, for our nieces, for any younger women we have in our circle? And if this resonated with you, you aren't alone. And maybe today is a good day. Just simply notice how you speak to yourself, because your body is not the problem. This chapter of your life deserves far more kindness and criticism. Now, I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this topic. So please feel free to head over to my Instagram account at Jo Clark Coaching and send me a message or send me an email at jo@joclarkcoaching.com. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to being with you here again next week. Cheers for now. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate, follow, and share it with another incredible midlife woman. And join me next week as we keep creating an amazing second half of life.